Hello, welcome to Chemistry Travels. So, I recently started my PhD studies at the Australian National University in Australia, in short called as ANU. And it took me some time, in fact, few years before I could finally start my PhD after completing my masters. And there are few things that I learned during this journey of searching for a PhD program, and I really wish I had known these right from the start, like at the time of starting my applications. If I had known them, things would have been a bit more easier for me, but then I had to learn them the hard way during this journey, and I thought I'll just share those few things with you so that if in case you are someone who is currently searching for a PhD program, or maybe you are in plans of starting your PhD searches, then this might be useful for you. So, the first and the most important thing that I learned during this journey is that searching and finding a PhD position is not an easy task. It does take time, and PhD hunt is definitely not a cakewalk. But initially, when I started my applications, I was of the impression that maybe in 6 months or up to maybe 1 year, I'll be able to find a position or start my PhD. But it took me around 1.5 years to find this position and get an offer letter. And from there, it again took me another 13 months to get my visa. So basically, I do have a gap of around 2.5 years after completing MSc and before starting my PhD. And I'm not saying it will be the same for everyone. Of course, there are people who get positions and start PhDs in 6 months or less than 6 months of completing MSc. That's well and good, but then you may have to face unexpected delays, which I was not aware of when I started my applications, and I was not mentally prepared for it. So be prepared for delays that may come. It can be anywhere. It can be in finding a position, or maybe at a later stage, like during visa applications, you can face so many unexpected things. So just be prepared for delays. And second thing I would say is when to start PhD applications. This is something that I realized at a later stage. I started my applications around after completing my masters, like at the end of fourth semester. So I completed my MSc, but finally, just before my final exams, that's when I started my PhD applications. But over time, I did realize that you can start your PhD applications way ahead. Like while you are in your final year of your masters, or maybe you are in your final semester, you can apply for your PhD positions. And I already have a video, put a previous video on how you can apply for PhD positions. And if you look at, if you haven't watched that, you can watch them. And there I've already told about applying through vacant positions or advertisements that you come across. So if you look into advertisements, we can actually find few advertisements where they have mentioned that even those who are in their final year of their masters, or those who are about to complete their masters, they also can apply for that position. So if you come across any such advertisement, you are in your masters now, means you can very well apply for those. And also another way of applying for positions that I mentioned in my previous video was emailing professors, asking if they have any positions. So if you are a PhD, a master student, you are in your final months of your masters, you can definitely email professor saying that you are a master's student and you are looking for PhD position. So you can do it way ahead. You don't have to wait for your course to complete and then start your applications. Rather, you can start it way ahead. Third thing that I have learned is also related to emailing professors or asking people about PhD positions. And what I've learned is you have nothing to lose in asking someone if they have a position or not. If you find a professor's profile whom you are interested in, or a group, you find the work of the group interesting, just ask them if they have any positions. There's nothing wrong in emailing them. Most of the times you might not get a reply back. It's okay, that's fine. But then who knows, maybe that is the one that's meant for you. Like in my case, this current position that I started, it was not an advertised PhD position, so it was not advertised anywhere. It was not a vacant position as such. I just emailed the professor to see if they have any positions, and fortunately at the right time he did have a PhD program available, and I got it. So you never know. So if you need something, you need to ask for it and seek for it. So you do not have to worry about asking someone if they have a position or not. Feel free to do that. And the fourth thing I would say, it is when I started my initial applications, I was of the assumption that having a valid English proficiency test score like IELTS or TOEFLs might help in your application. So this is what I thought initially, but over time I realized that you having a valid IELTS or TOEFLs or any other test score is not going to make much difference in your applications at the processing stage. So it does not increase your chance of being called for an interview or anything. So, but then if you have one, well and good, but it's not necessary that you need to have it right from the start. So there are some universities in these foreign countries, they even accept PhD students without any of these scores. They don't ask for these scores. And for Australia, yes, they did ask. It is needed, like especially for ANU. Yes, it was needed in my case. I need to have a valid score for getting an offer letter. Yes, that's there. But then there are certain other countries, like Germany, for example. Like I have friends who have gone there without having to submit IELTS or any TOEFLs or any English proficiency test. And there are certain other countries where the universities allow you to submit your valid score after starting the course. Like they give you 6 months, you need to submit the score within 6 months of starting your course or something. So which means you have some time. You don't have to do it way ahead and be ready with the score. Why I'm telling this is because these exams like IELTS, the scores are valid for only 2 years, and you can never be sure that you will start your PhD within 2 years of writing this exam. Like in my case, when I applied to this university and when I got my offer letter, I had a valid IELTS score, which was necessary also for the university. But then from there, it again took me another 1 year for my visa, and during that time, by that time, my first IELTS score expired. So which means before starting the course, my IELTS score expired and I had to write IELTS again. So you don't have to do that. So if I had written my first exam a bit later, maybe I would have had my first score itself would be valid by when I started my PhD, and that was not the case. So it's just an extra cost, money, like you don't have to waste money, waste of time. So that's not needed. So you can wait, and if it's really needed, you can write it at a later stage. So the next thing that I learned is the importance of research experience. So if you ask me if research experience is really needed to get a PhD position outside India, I would say it depends on the country that you are applying to. Like if you're trying for countries like US, they don't really require a prior research experience. Obviously, you need they look into your MSc projects and all, but then they don't expect you to have so much of research experience like after MSc. Before starting your PhD. But again, if you're considering countries like European countries, any of those European countries or places like Australia, they do look into your research experience. You need to have really good research experience. You need to have the experience of handling several instruments, all the characterization techniques. You should be good at them. So they do look into all of those, because basically we do not have courseworks in these countries, and they just expect us to come here and start our works immediately without a person having to stand with us and teach us everything new. They just want people who are already experienced well in the exact field of their research or of their PhD thesis. So they can just come and start immediately. So research experience is important for most of the countries outside India. But there are countries that accept students even without research experience. And next one is about publications. So is really publications needed? So if you have publications, that will be really good. It does have a positive impact on your application. So it can help you getting positions faster or being shortlisted for interviews at a faster pace if you have publications. But even if you do not have paper publications, you don't have to worry, because I did not have a paper publication when I got this offer letter. So I can surely confirm that even if you do not have a publication, you still will get a position, but maybe it will take some time, but definitely you can get positions without publications. But though I did not have any published works, I did have some of my works that was under review or was just submitted to some journals at the time of applying or at the time of getting an offer letter, but none of them was a published work. And I do know other people also, like some of my friends, who have got PhD positions without prior paper publications. But if you can get one, work for it, try and get one, so it can have a great positive impact on your application. The seventh thing that I want to discuss about is the outcomes of these applications. And in most cases, it would be a rejection. But over time, during this journey of finding a suitable PhD position, we learn to handle rejections. So almost every application that you send would come back to you as a rejection. But it's perfectly fine. That's how it works. There's nothing much we can do about it. So if you are trying for PhD positions outside India, you are bound to get rejection. So it's just part and parcel of the application process. And so you do not have to feel worried about it. It's just that obviously when you get a lot of rejections, we do feel low. We feel like there's no point in applying anyways, you're going to get a rejection. But no, just keep applying. So it's just part of it. Everyone goes through this because there was just one position and there will be 100 or 200 people applying for that one position, and all of them will be equally qualified. So they do definitely have to select one person. And most probably in most cases you wouldn't be that one person, but definitely there is something that's meant for you. One day you will be that one person. So just keep applying, and sometimes you might even go up to the interview level, and then from there you might get rejected. It's okay. Every interview is a learning, so there is something that you can take back from every interview you attend. And one advice that I've got from my seniors is that after interviews, like if you get a rejection mail, you have attended an interview and you get a rejection mail. So what you can do is you can reply back to them, obviously thanking them for their response and letting them know that you will still be interested if they have any further positions, or you can tell all that. And then you can actually ask them about a feedback of your interview, like what your weaknesses were and all. You can understand, you can ask them, and in most cases you will get a reply back from them. So I haven't tried it out in my case, but then this was some advice, a piece of advice that I got from my seniors, and if you're interested you can try it out. So after interviews you can try and ask the professors about your performance, so that you can learn from your mistakes and be a better version of yourself for your next interview. So don't take rejections too seriously. You don't have to feel too low. Just accept it the way it is. The next most important thing that I want to discuss about is the importance of staying consistent. If you have decided that you want to do your PhD outside, then you have got to stay consistent in your applications. You have got to keep trying every single day. And securing an offer letter doesn't mean that you can stop your applications. Even if you have got an offer letter from one university, don't stop your application. Still continue searching for other positions also, because you never know. Unless and until you start your PhD, this is something that I've learned. Unless and until that you start your PhD officially, you go there, you start your course, you never know whether you will reach there or not. You can face delays anywhere. Like in my case it was the visa. Like people had to wait for 1 year, 2 years. There were people who were waiting for 2 years and all, and you can't afford to waste so many years just waiting for a visa. So you have got to keep trying for other positions also. And sometimes people lose the offer that they get over time while they wait for visas, or maybe due to some other delays or due to other reasons, they can lose the offer that they get also. So you have got to have backups. So keep trying for more positions. And as you keep trying, it's very common that you will have to face questions of a lot of people. Like people will ask, well, you've been trying for 1 year, you still haven't found a position, you've been trying for 2 years, try something else. There will be a lot of people to demotivate you. There will be people who put you down through their words. It can be very close friends of yours, maybe close family members, or maybe random people also. So there will be a lot of people with a lot of advices and suggestions. And they might talk as if you're not trying enough, but you don't have to convince anyone. So the only person you have to convince is yourself. If you are convinced that you are doing enough, you are trying enough for a PhD position, for your dream, towards your dream, that's more than sufficient. So you don't expect someone else to be a motivation for you. You have got to be a motivation for yourself. You have got to stay consistent, be motivated, because this is your dream and you alone know how important this is for you. And the final thing that I learned during this search for PhD is that what is meant for you is definitely yours, and what is not meant for you will definitely not come to you. It will never come to you, because during this search, so some of our close friends or some of our friends or people whom we know might get positions and they might go forward in life, but we might still be stuck. Even after years, we will be stuck at that same place where we were when we completed our MSc. We might still be at that same position. We might not have moved forward. Though we are trying very hard, we might have not got what we wanted. And people around us might be doing really well. So there's nothing to feel sad about, nothing to worry about, because they got what was meant for them. And when the right time comes, right things will happen for us. So what is meant for us will definitely come to us. So all we have to do is have a dream for it, and pray for your dream and work towards what you're praying for. So one day it will definitely come to you. So these are certain things, like few things that I learned during my PhD search. And I hope this will be helpful for all of you out there. If you have any doubts or if you wish to know more about anything related to my PhD searching, related to how I found the position here or anything, do let me know in the comments. Thank you so much.